The following is a headline from LA Times dated January 15, 1991. The sidelines. Shots fired into boxer's home. Phoenix. Gunshots have been fired into the home of International Boxing Federation junior flyweight champion Michael Carbajal, and both the Carbajal family and police say they don't know why. The gunfire occurred Friday and Monday, and Carbajal was home both times. No one was injured. Everybody is kind of mad, said Danny Carbajal, the champion's brother and trainer. Why is this going on? Who are they? Police took a 17-year-old into custody after the Monday incident. Authorities said the youth, whose name was not released, was driving a stolen car. They also said they found a sawed-off shotgun and 2 expended shells in the car. Authorities said that a shot was fired through a bedroom window shortly before 4 a.m. Monday, and that a shotgun was fired into the living room shortly before midnight on Friday. Carbajal is to defend his title against Maquirio, whatever, Santos of Acapulco on February 17th in Las Vegas. A lot wrong with that story. First and foremost, the 17-year-old, and I'll identify him, was Flyboy, my co-defendant, who, memory serves me correctly, he's a year younger than me. So he may have been 14 at the time. He was younger than me, I believe. He could have been born the same, but I believe he's younger than me. And his birthday is in February, I do believe, but he was younger than me. And he wasn't driving. I don't know how that came. Well, and then Danny asking, why is this happening? Who are they? And to my knowledge, another thing about this is that I don't recall Michael being a victim in the case. Memory serves me correctly, according to the record, he wasn't there. Not certain. But see, that's the thing about that whole case, is that there were a lot of changes during that time. It was a large investigation because there was 23 of us, I believe, something like that. 20 some of us that were arrested that day in the alley, and there was a bunch of us at Adobe Mountain. So, like, there was a bunch of us just weaving in and out of cars, in and out of, places and chains of events in that 31 days that I was out, homies from the hood. And we're intertwining with homies from Garfield, from the Gates, from the Meatballs. Like, we're, very, very, very specific homies, but we're weaving in and out of traffic because each of us has our own, we basically have our own little carload and we're on our own little missions, and it was just scatter rampart, like, cop, that was one of the things with that case, is the cops got shot at, and supposedly they fled to my crib. So there was like a lot of different investigations that were tied into my case itself, which included, because there was a bunch of crimes committed with that shotgun as well, like, the homie Mario's murder case, and it was a lot going on. And mind you, the politics, I'm not talking, we'll get into the hood politics, but the politics of it, Ben Miranda's association to Phoenix PD chief Police Chief Ruben Ortega, you know what I mean, Ben Miranda, Michael Carvajal's attorney, and them doing everything humanly possible to sweep that under the rug, you know what I mean, because it got impossible to conceal what was going on, because there was other shootings, there was other events that took place around there and around there, you know what I mean, and I'll tell a couple of those stories, but so even in the charging, while I'm there, don't mind them 7 months, because mind you, at the time, legally, according to the law, it was a 30-day process to get remanded. You know, you go to court, you know, they charge you, you go to court, they do the psych eval, you go back to court, there's a determination made already. There's few of us that cases took a long time, like, I think Timmy's was the longest that I know of, transfer hearing, outlaw Timmy T. But him and Glenn had that escape, because Glenn was up for transfer too, but he didn't get transferred, and Timmy did. But that's another thing, because then, you know, the homies over there on the west side, in the West Side City, they were banging it out like that, and they were crossing paths with homies from the Vale, you know what I mean? There's a lot going on at the time, man. It's a crazy ass story, like crazy. The hood activities of the time, bro. Like, and I know a lot of homies cringe about wanting to even go there with it and shit, you know what I mean? Because I know there is a lot still attached that, you know, there's no statute of limitations on some shit. You know, so we, you know, those of us that are still here, I understand the reluctancy and, you know, the need to just want to, you know what I mean, clear path forward and not be fucked with about it and resurrect none of that shit. But, you know, yet and still, you know, we all sit here online and we'll go and check out everybody else's shit, hood shit, and be all mesmerized by the hood shit everywhere, hood politics and everything else everywhere else. But, you know, when we get to the heart of our story, you know, we get all this stuff out there that we're going to, like, shh. You don't know, like, the Justice Department statistics to tie into what was happening at that time and the trend that we set moving forward in the nation. We set. We thug that out. That's why, like, we, you know, those of us from here, we hold our independence, bro. We don't like to be, even like the Crip homies, man. They banged it out with the Cali Crips from out here in the '80s and shit too, dog. You know what I mean? Like, people don't understand it. Like, just, man, we're Phoenix, homie. We're Arizona, homie. This is Maricopa County, to Arizona. You know what I mean? Like, homies ain't. You know what I mean? We have a whole different mentality, because homie says, like, if you on that, we're gonna be on some other shit. We don't think like that shit. It's too much going through here, you know what I mean? But, you know, back to the case. So there's a lot at stake in the case. Okay, so I just read the LA Times headline. So that's how far reaching it was, the case. Now, locally, you're not gonna find it, but my name and my picture had been ran, and that's where my attorney Gary Peter Clark jumped on the case, pro bono, which is one of his last pro bono cases. So there was that problem, because they charged me several times with 4 different times, and man, it totaled over 100 different charges, which included serial murder, because they had questioned me on missing people, and then there's 2 murders on there that they charged, and then so they end up with the 33 charges. Now, during the proceeding, the psych eval, when he gave his testimony, when he gave his assessment, whatever, evaluation, it was all wrong, right? So first, he refers to me, and this is part of the seal record, the psych eval, is a cold-blooded psychopathic killer. Now that reference comes from those murders that were attached. Okay, now I gotta explain the story. Okay, that was one problem, right? Because legally and technically at the time, there was no murders I was being charged with. Nor had I ever, other than when they brought that in that instance, in that referral where those murders came up. I don't know why they did that. Well, I know why they did that, for political reasons. It would always reflect in my record as a serial juvenile murderer, in spite of the fact that they know, like, the crazy thing about it is there's no bodies. When I say no bodies, like, I'm not saying, oh, I buried them, whatever. Like, there's no victims. It didn't have. There was no murders. They can't explain them. And they associate that with two missing people. That's totally. I don't even know where that comes from, because I don't. There was no one that I know that had nothing to do with me did nothing like that at that time, where I was hurt, hey, we buried this, what I did, nothing like that. So where they, you know what I mean? Like, it's crazy how they did the case, the politics of the case, and then like how even with the interrogations, the way they went, never taped, none of it, and then the record's been altered many times. Like, it's been altered. Because I went through a lot over that case, even years after I was in prison and shit, still getting called into question about that shit. Over a book offer, actually. So legally, the site could not classify me that. It was not proper, not right. So my attorney objected to that, and then he classified me as sociopath, which no juvenile is a sociopath. There's no such thing as a juvenile sociopath. You have a sociopathic personality. So that was the other thing in the evaluation that was called into question. So at that point, from that objection, the negotiations, everything began in the case. And then, because after what is revealed in the IQ and the psych evaluation, and then the totality of the case, the number of people that were arrested, and what spawned from what I did, what law enforcement knows begins in 1988, and where it begins now. But like, they know the whole dynamic of it. So I'm in the record as a leader of all that. Like, that's not. I'm not trying to take that claim to defend. Like, I'm not. It's just. It's a political thing that we're trying to make examples of some of us. Like, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of other homies that have. I've come across quite a few homies that there's a lot of politics in a lot of our cases. We know that. Even then, we used to talk about the shit. How the way he used to do is because they motherfucking attorneys that come with us would, like, they talk about this and this with shit. Like, it's, so then I had to get from that. They had, my attorney had got psych to come in and evaluate me. The courts ordered another independent psych to evaluate me, plus a sociologist, which both came from ASU, to evaluate me. And then the psychs from Adobe Mountain, the psychologist and psychiatrist from Adobe Mountain, and therapists to evaluate me for the case. And for those of us that were there at the time, and that they partook in those activities, between that time and those time frames. Let's say 90 to 91, or let's say, you say 1991, or and expanding that from 88 to say 93, right? Because many of us turned 18 in 93. So we'll go from when I 13 to 18, but going 90, 91. All of 90, early 91 for me, for many of us, is late 90, early 91, going into our cases. So, Dolby Mountains Command Central. You name them. My generation, you know what I mean? Like, and it's salute to all the homies, no matter what, bro. Like, from me personally, and I've always, like, everybody that came into PC, they knew, like, we walked the track together. We had talks, like, we enjoyed those talks again, even no matter what, because, like, there was always that apprehension, like, man, you know what I mean? Like, what's this conversation gonna be like with the homie? Like me, I always had a lot of trouble because it was like, I ain't got no beef. My question is the homie got beef? And usually, if homie got beef, the homie's gonna address that shit off the rip. But it was never that. It was always the question of, you know what I mean? So it's like, it's love, dog. Like, we're so far removed from that, dog. I'm like back to when we was kids and shit, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Fuck all that other shit. But so, like, I'm reluctant to get into the details of those stories because of the conspiracies that tie into them. And it's impossible for me to realize what would any discussions would lead to certain things, certain crimes the homies may have committed. But as far as I was concerned, that wasn't. It was war. Like I said, it was Command Central. So, like, but like I said, homies was out there getting it, bro. It just got worse and worse and worse, bro. And, like, that's why, like, a lot of homies, they always check me and, like, you did your dirt, homie, but we did dirt too. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I know, bro. Trust me. Because I heard it, like, homies always came in. There'd be homies coming, this homie came in, that homie's here, that homie got that kid, where you see it on the news or whatever, like, you on the lookout for it, because it's like, it ain't like it ever goes away where you come from. You going into prison, like, with a lot of us that went in young like that, like, especially riders that gangbang caught cases like that, you know what I mean? You always, like, I'm going to catch the homie here, to catch the homie there, whatever, you know what I mean? And, because we know here, it's a small world, bro. There's not 1,000 million gangs here. There's not 100 billion people here. Especially, like, when you look back, like, yeah, we see the growth of the sea, everything, whatever it is and shit, but when you go back, we look back in time, it gets smaller and smaller and smaller. And we know each other like that, you know what I mean? We all know each other like that. In this day and age, it's cold. It's cold to want to go there, kill any of the homies from that time, go back that far and want to, you know what I mean? Like, that's the thing with me. And now you can see, like, I don't have no hostilities about none of it. You know what I mean? Because, like, there's a fondness for the homies. Like, because this is how I look at it. Like, we were some intelligent kids, dude. And that's what got me. That's where, see, because in my case, the first reason Judge Silverstein gives for remand is that, nature of the offense, and then the second reason is my IQ, my understanding of it, and it's read to say that I led that you know what I mean, that I inspired it, I influenced it, You know what I mean? Because we all know that it wasn't. There's no organization to none of that shit. There's no there was no real. There's no deep conspiracy. You know what I mean? And then like in my case, they questioned on conspiracy to commit murder because I don't know, they assume that you're going to shoot somebody that you're going to kill them. But in the questioning, there's no one statement says that anyone is. It was never specifically said that we're gonna go kill someone in none of the language, so they could never, conspiracy to commit murder because it just says shoot. There's a distinction to aggravated assault. If you shoot somebody. But if you have the intent to kill, did you intend to kill? Yeah, well, did you tell them that? Yeah, we'll kill them. That didn't happen in the case. It was too action-packed. It was too high-paced. Like, that shit was colors in real life, like real time. Like, it was no sleep, bro. Like, you never knew when a motherfucker's coming knocking at your door. Hey, for these motherfuckers is chasing this right now. Popos is chasing this and shit right now, bro. You know what I mean? And seeing those of us here from here, like, we know that that's our story. That's not, there's no integrated story like that. That doesn't exist until those little granular stories that the fools trying to get in where they're fitting, and that's exactly all that it is, dude. You know what I mean? That ain't take nothing from nobody, dude. You fit in up there, right there. Well, why would you get mad about somebody saying you was getting in where you fit in? You got in where you fit in at the top, nigga. They talk about you like you somebody. Yeah, my bad on that one. You know what I mean? This is just, I appreciate it. That's the thing with me. You know what I mean? Because I know, like, I grew up loving to hear war stories, dog. You know what I'm saying? Like, who really doesn't, bro? You know what I'm saying? In a good war story, it ain't got to be gangster or whatever. It's just a good war story. You know what I mean? Fucking kid fell off a tree, and like the homie Bosco, was it Bosco or Chi? One of them about the dog, Chi and his dog, bro. His war story about his dog and death of his dog, bro. That's. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just, life stories, man, war stories. When you get that scar at car crash, you know what I'm saying? When you get that scar at freaking lady bust me over the head or something, you know what I'm saying? When you get that scar at slipped in the shower, you never know. But then it's like, slipped in the shower, then they tell you this crazy ass story how they slipped in the shower or whatever, you know what I mean? But, and see, the thing too, growing up on war stories, and I know I'm weaving into a lot of different things here, but is it like, okay, so one of the homies that questioned me one time about homies of my generation and why the way they are with the Mexican mafia, and I try to explain to him that for us growing up, that was taboo, bro. We didn't talk about it. It didn't exist. There was no Mexican mafia. What are you talking about, bro? But we knew, like, because we have relatives from all sides. Like, you don't understand. There's people from the Villa that are related to people at the top. All of that. We're homies like that. Like, we have a close, like, you know what I mean, that we all, like, there's a lot of old heads you can resurrect that. It's stories for you, bro. But that's that these things need to be understood, because, like, these homies had an influence and an impact on, and still do, on the way things, on the lives of people. Now, mind you, if a person makes a choice to live that lifestyle, cool, that's on them. It's like I tell the homies, man, if homies in prison, they're at the mercy of them fools, dog. Like, they're at the mercy of the system. You know what I'm saying? And you know, my thing is that man, just leave the homies alone. But the homies gotta know, don't go in that motherfucker trying to be nothing but you from the Villa, dog. You know what I'm saying? Like homies don't like. This is the thing, dog. Like because homies be cool with a lot of different homies, dog. That you know across racial lines, especially with you know black homies and shit from different places and shit. You know what I mean? And it's like. Why when it's like we know the way it is out here and shit, you getting drug into shit in there that don't make no sense because those kind of politics it don't coincide out here. That none of them motherfuckers be like that out here, bro. And even like with the Woods, bro, like with like the homies that I grew up with that became Aryan Brotherhood or whatnot, like bro, the way we cross paths on the mountain and shit, or like. You know, some of them we run into each other on the streets and shit because we be running wild and like a lot of them will be out in the East Valley and shit. You know what I mean? And they be on me homies over there stomping and shit, and then some of us from here be stomping out that way too. You know what I mean? So you cross paths with them and shit, and you know. But we know that you know what I'm saying. We know these dudes, and it's the same with each generation, and we know that like. Motherfuckers be at a Dog Mountain cool as fuck, dog. You know, they be with their Fourth Reich shit, but motherfuckers be cool as fuck. Like, a lot of the homies, you know, I'll get into some stories and name some homies. You know what I'm saying? Highlight them, shout them out, you know what I mean? Show them, you know, show them some grace, bro, because, you know, some are dead, dog, you know what I mean? And in PC, you know what I mean? There's those still standing, and, you know, I have a certain reluctancy to speak about them, but, you know, but you know I will, you know what I mean, like because I got, you know, I want to tell, you know, there's good stories to tell, you know what I mean, but you see how complex and convoluted it is, and how it just starts at Adobe Mountain, because a lot of the homies, man, go Fort Grant or Alpine, Adobe Mountain, Catalina, Pinal Mountain, you know what I'm saying, homies went through it, you know what I mean? And from there to the penitentiary, and you know, we know our stories, you know what I'm saying? We know where we come from, you know what I mean? And there's, you know, yeah, we all have relatives. Like I got a lot of family in California, you know, different parts of California, from Bulldogs to down to Dago, you know what I mean? And the IE, and you know, fucking Boyle Heights, fucking Pico Union, you know what I mean? Compton. You know, I don't know if we still do, because I know my cousin just passed away, but we may still have family in Compton, you know what I mean? And then I got, you know, the homie right here, you know, other homies that are from out there, you know what I mean, Crip homies, you know, and it's all love, dog. Like me myself knowing our stories and shit, and my story and everything, like I know that it's not like that, homie. Like I know the homies from Cali, like the homies that we funk with from Cali, they're most of them were Crips or Bloods, bro. I can't think of like Chicanos from Cali. I could think of no one. Not till I got to the penitentiary, and I met a lot of them. Cool though, you know what I'm saying? Like all the homies from Cali were cool as fuck. Whether they were Norteños or Sureños, for like. What I appreciated about those ones is that, like, they were laid back, bro. Like, up until the fool that started all that other shit came along trying to be, you know what I mean? Like, there was, everybody else was like, just get in where you fit in, you know what I mean? And the homies know how to get in where they fit in and shit, and motherfuckers cool as fuck, you know what I mean? Because they didn't have to deal with those same type of politics. Like our politics to them here is easy. Like you can just be left the fuck alone. You ain't, you know what I mean? Yeah, you right with the Chicano or whatever, you know what I'm saying? But you have a certain liberty, you know what I mean? You're not bound by that fucking. You know what I mean? Motherfuckers, I don't know about now, but back then, motherfuckers weren't doing no, everybody let's meet up. Yeah, everybody gotta do some push-ups, some burpees, shit. I don't know what that sense that made, bro. Like, you're inviting that conflict, bro. You're going to gladiator school. Don't, listen, if you could go out there and do that, then just go do that, go, wow, you know what I'm saying, go attack. But nah, don't do that. Don't do that. Nah, man. But going back to Dog Mountain, uh, and I want to speak too about my attorney, rest in peace, Gary Peter Clark, because he's a very, very, very influential attorney and politician here in the state of Arizona. And his lawsuit, Clark v. Goddard, circa 66, I think it was, landmark Supreme Court case that actually changed the district, the redistricting map here, and gave the Republicans favor, and that's how it turned from Democrat to Republic, and from the 60s until the present. You know what I mean? Which I want to get into talking about that, because that was the thing about case, and where I started with that Dog Mountain was the politics involved in the case. You know, the actual politics, because after that, after those of us who were going into in 91, then they pushed for laws, because those are car cases like that. We went in late 91, early 92, we started waving in there, and then we're coming out late 92, 93 out of the minors unit. But the laws changed to where they didn't have to go through that juvenile process no more for violent crimes. Where if you just committed a violent crime, you go straight to the county jail. You didn't no pass go, none of that shit. Collect $200. You know what I mean? And then a lot of the laws changed. And if you could check the archives on that shit, when the governor signed it, it was right there in that field, right there, 21st and Fillmore, Doble. Because that was the worst neighborhood. It still is. That's still the worst zone. But right there in particular, that was the worst, highest crime and actually, it was teetering on in the nation, but most definitely here in Arizona, that shit was terror zone. And that motherfucker, you better not go up in 2-1 on me. Well, I'm gonna cut this one right here, man. It's been 32 minutes. I've been rambling on. But I'll get more into the details of cases and start naming names. But it's all love, man. Like, I'm not trying to, like, you can see I ain't got no hostilities. Show appreciation for, you know what I mean? But